Alright, hey guys. So anyways, people say to me, you know, why don't you just go back to that company? Why don't you just do this? Why don't you just, and it's like, how many times and how many different ways am I going to be able to say to somebody, stop reading the Bible as though it's just some fairy tale and start looking at it in a literal sense. I literally feel like I've been living out this literal Bible story, okay? Paul even talked about being a prisoner of the Lord, okay? It may not be something to where you're literally behind a prison bars in a physical sense, but it is like being in a physical sense, but instead it's a spiritual realm. You know how when God says that no one's going to pluck you out of my hand? Nobody can pluck anybody out of God's hands. The word also declares in Revelations 3, verse 7 and verse 8, when Jesus said, he was talking about the church of Philadelphia, this true and holy church, and he would keep them from the hour of temptation that was going to come upon the whole world. In that passage, he also says, I open doors that no man can shut, and I shut doors that no man can open. Meaning, I can go to 100 restaurants and put in 100 applications, or 10, or 20, or 50, or whatever, and I can be overqualified for all of them put together, okay? All of them put together. Thinking it's an automatic shoo-in, like surely God's going to open that door. It doesn't mean he will. It doesn't mean he will. I'm in a town where I want to briefly tell you guys, a couple years ago, I'd mentioned this before in one of my videos, the title of the video is The Call, and it's on my Alabaster Box channel. You can go back and look at it, and I got to watch my battery as well. A couple years ago on the Feast of Esther, on the Feast of Purim, the day before, on March 7th, the Lord sent a stork outside of my window. A stork is a sign of deliverance, and this stork looked like the size of a small airplane. It was that huge. I live in a state that you should not be seeing storks, okay? Anywhere. Especially 8 or 10 feet from your window or whatever. Okay, this was clearly, just like a few weeks ago, he sent me a white dove, and that dove was like literally flying with intent, okay? So, I mean, and it was white, and like, huge. It was huge. But anyway, shortly after that, hold on a second. Shortly after that, or the next day on the Feast of Purim, something very significant and supernatural happened to me. Now, I'm not going to get into what, because it's not really important, and it really is one of those things where it's like kind of just between me and the Lord, I think. You know, it's just, I'm not really led to get into it. There's a few people in my life that know what I'm talking about, and other than that, it's not really significant, but it's just significant for you to know that something major has happened to me. Sorry, I'm making sure my friend isn't pulling up in her driveway. Well, anyways, he's always shown me things about Esther. Well, one of my friends, who is a sister in Christ from the homeless ministry, her mom and dad are non-Messianic Jews. They do not believe that Christ was the Messiah, and they live in the very town where I'm at now. I told you guys I've kind of made my way around the outer belt, and now I'm almost back to where my apartment was. So I'm closer to where my son and his dad are as well. My friend has lived here for years. Well, the friend from the homeless ministry, the sister in Christ, it was either her mom and dad or her aunt and uncle, I can't remember, but one of their names was Esther and Mordecai, which is like another sign for me. And I had made a video from the hotel, and the title of the video was called The Call, Part 1. And I had made Part 2, but I had never ended up uploading Part 2. But Part 1, I got interrupted by a phone call at the end, and I was talking about the call in my life and how, kind of similar to what I've been talking about tonight, and how people still always want to try to say to me, well, would God have really called you out of your career, or would God really do this? And I say to them, you don't really understand what it is to be a prisoner of the Lord until you've actually gone through it. Until, I'm trying to fix the lighting, you guys. Until you've actually gone through it, you can't really comprehend it. You just can't really comprehend it. Because people want to take, they think that, oh yeah, God opens doors that no man can shut, and he shuts doors that no man, yeah, but this stuff is literal, okay? It's not just like something like, he didn't just make it up and say it for ha-ha's sake. Like, it's literal, okay? And you don't really understand it until you're walking through it. So, anyways, with that said, on that video that I had made called The Call, I ended up getting interrupted by a phone call, and it was by the very girl whose parents are non-Messianic Jews. Now, she is a born-again Jew, and again, I know her through the homeless ministry. We've worked together at the homeless ministry. The day that I got my car repossessed, she's the one that picked me up to try to take me to where the car lot was, but we never ended up, they wanted a bunch of money for me to get my own things out of my car. That's another thing I was having panic attacks about this morning, is there were things in that car that I needed, and all of it's gone. It's been gone. They just got rid of it. I'm telling you, it's like my life is upside down. Anyways, the town that I'm living in, the town that I'm in now, and where my friend's condo is a lot of Messianic Jews. Once you go through the bike trails, there are lots of like man-made lakes and really beautiful places where I spend, you know, I oftentimes just go through there. Well, first of all, I go into town all the time on the bike when I can, trying to put in applications for these minimum wage jobs, trying to have interviews and stuff like that. But it also looks down, you know, it doesn't, like, they want to know if you have, I feel like I'm digressing here because I'm kind of all over the place. They want to know if you have reliable transportation. Well, when you sit there and tell them that really you have a bike and you take the bike trails and it's going to take you another hour just to get to the job, and then you're going to be sweaty and nasty and have to change. Oh, but if it's dark, raining, or thunderstorming, or snowing, you wouldn't be able to go through it anyways. God forbid I should still be here and it was snowing. I mean, seriously, my prayer and hope and what I've been begging is, God, deliver me like yesterday. If I have to, like, I am praying to God I am not still here this fall or winter, but I don't know what's going to happen. I continue to hold on to the hope that in the promise that He's given me, but at the same time, I'm sick of it never happening. I'm like, I need it to happen. And it's really easy to point the finger and judge and be like, oh, you just need to be patient and wait on the Lord. No, you wait on the Lord. In other words, like, I've been patient, okay? I've been suffering for 3 years, watching everybody else flourish. I'm trying to figure out how I was the one sticking my neck out, trying to make sure nobody else was left behind, and now I'm the one completely humiliated, being humiliated, loving and serving everybody else, which is fine, but at the same time, when you're like, wait a minute, like, I don't know, it starts to feel like the only thing you really get for trying to do right is punishment. That's how it starts to feel. But anyways, in this town that I'm in, when I go over there on the bike or whatever, I oftentimes will wear the Jesus Died For Me t-shirt, or I'll wear the one that says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him and He will direct your paths. And there's been times where the cross that we made, the crosses we'd made, some made out of nails or whatever, as a cross going this way and this way, made out of nails, and I had worn it on a necklace with the red, white, and blue painted on it or whatever. And I have tried to open up conversations with these Jewish people. And this one lady, I had even put out advertisements. I had put out advertisements that, like, in some of the restaurants, I had put out ads saying that I would, you know, maybe come in and clean their house or whatever, or do like house cleaning or something like that. In other words, I've been trying to figure out anything, okay? But again, I can't control what doors God opens and what He closes. And I also know that when all I have is a bike and I really don't have anyone to depend on for a car, I feel stuck like Chuck, okay? I feel like worried sick that it's like this. I feel like I'm worried I won't get the job offers, but I feel worried that I will get the job offers, and then I'll end up getting fired because I can't make it in because I don't have a ride. I feel like no matter which way I turn, I'm screwed. Sorry, you guys. I'm just beside myself with frustration, depression, anger, stress, sick and tired of losing. Sick and tired of sacrificing. I'm sick and tired of suffering. And and I'm sick and tired of people throwing their stones at me, acting like they know anything about my life when they really don't know anything. And you cannot know somebody's situation until you've walked in their shoes, period. You cannot know what it's like to be in the palm of God's hand in a very real sense, knowing full well that you truly are a prisoner of the Lord, meaning if He's not going to allow you to walk through that door, no matter how much you need the money or whatever, it's not going to happen. Especially if He wants you doing nothing but ministry. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is I'm living in someone's home that needs me to have money. And I need to have money. But anyways, I'm in town. And I try to start these conversations with these non-Messianic Jews. And this one lady, she was going to take one of my advertisements for cleaning, because on my cleaning ads, I'll put like an ad about, and I put Yahweh's name in there. Well, it's pronounced Yahweh, but I'll put His name in there, and then I put like Psalm 91, and then I put my name and number for cleaning or whatever. And you know, you can put your name and number and make it like a bunch of little pieces where they can rip off your name and number. And every time I turn around, all my ads are gone, but no one's called or anything like that yet. Which the thing is a lot of these people have like these big mansions, like 8,000 square feet, 10,000 square feet. You know, I can clean someone's house, but at the same hand, I'm not like Molly Maid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm almost intimidated to clean some of their homes, because I'm thinking they probably expect things that I don't really, and I'm a really good cleaner. Like, I'm really kind of a perfectionist type of a person. That's the way that I grew up. But at the same time, you know, I'm not licensed or bonded or whatever it is. Like, I'm not like, I don't know how to explain it. And it's just me, and I don't even have a car, you know? And again, I'm rambling. I'm tired and I'm overwhelmed. I try to start these conversations with these people, and I usually will, once I feel comfortable enough, and sometimes I don't feel comfortable to ask them at all, but I end up asking them anyways, like, are you Messianic? Like, are you Jewish? And a lot of times they'll say, most of the time they'll say, yes, I'm Jewish. And I'll say, are you Messianic Jewish? And they'll say, no. And the one lady said to me, she was like, you know, if I have any Messianic friends, more than likely I don't know who they are, because they probably would not be talking about it. In other words, it's not really something they want to talk about as far as talking about Christ or the Messiah or whatever. But I'm wearing that t-shirt all the time, not every time I'm down there, but often, that says Jesus died for me, and I'm wearing that cross. And so it kind of has allowed me to segue into these conversations. Also, when I've put in applications with these minimum wage, like restaurants, like, you know, ice cream place, or like a chicken fajita wrap place or something like that or whatever, like, I've put ads in there as well. And also when I've had interviews and stuff like that with some of these managers, about similar things or whatever, you know, and talking about a lot of the clientele is like a lot of these Jewish people. It's a very wealthy town, not the area, not the side of town where my friend lives. It's not, that part's not wealthy at all. But when you go through the bike trails and you get into that area of town, it's very wealthy, and it's a lot of old money. Like I said, it's a lot of Jewish people. And what they do is, on the Sabbath, from sundown until Sunday, so Friday at sundown until Sunday, they don't take their cars, they actually walk. So you'll see the Jewish people with their little, I can't think of what these things are called that they wear on their heads, but you know what I'm talking about. You'll see the Jewish people walking around with their, you know, little hats or whatever, and they walk at the restaurants and this, that, and the other. Well, not only is the girlfriend from the homeless ministry that I mentioned, who's either mom and dad or aunt and uncle's name is Esther and Mordecai, and I told you guys what happened, something happened to me significant on Purim a couple years ago. And her parents are non-Messianic, but she is a born-again Jew, and she's always worried about her parents or whatever, and now I'm in the same town where her parents are. Well, interestingly enough, I was on the bike trail one day, and I got off the beaten path. There's kind of like a secret path, and I could tell the Lord was kind of leading me to go that direction, so I went through the woods a little bit and got on the secret path, and then it took me into a parking lot, and in that parking lot was a place called the Shalom House, and then there was this place called the Pavilion, And in the book of Psalms, the Lord always shows me that verse that says, He will hide you and protect. I will hide you and protect you in my pavilion. Well, in the pavilion has a big nameplate for it, and it's not only listed in English, but it's listed in Hebrew. So all of the Hebrew letters, it's the pavilion in English, and then the pavilion written in Hebrew as well, which I thought was really cool. And a sign for me. And so one day I took my bike a different direction. Rather than going left, I went right. And when I did that, lo and behold, to my right was a building called the Esther Building. And there was another day I was in town putting in applications, and I asked this lady if she was hiring at this Italian restaurant, and they said no. And I went around the corner, and normally I would go across the street and go that way, but instead I went around the corner, and there was this art studio. And I'm not going to get into all the details for sake of time, but everything about the names of the art studio had to do with my name. Like, my last name was very different. It's not your everyday last name. The last name of the lady was my last name. The first name of the lady was Rosalind. You say, well, why is Rosalind significant? Because I used to lead the praise and worship for a ministry called Jehovah Jireh, or you could say Yahweh Jireh, okay, which means God is your provider. And Rosalind is a woman that always, from that ministry, that always has an Esther convention, like an Esther getaway for women in the summer, and she'd asked me to come and lead music one year for the Esther getaway. So it's associated with the Esther situation. And anyways, there was this piece of artwork. I told you guys I'd been doing a lot of prophetic artwork that's in my storage garages. Okay, that's always being threatened to be auctioned. Well, there was this piece of artwork, and apparently this artwork was very, 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 like, I guess it's famous or something, and there was this letter on the front of it that I knew the Lord wanted me to read, and I started reading it, and it said, "The King, your Majesty, has invited you into his royal palace to present your art to him," blah, 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 and it went on and on and on, but the entire letter was consistently the same thing, talking about the royal king, your royal majesty, has invited you into his royal palace. And I mean, this was 80% of the letter was written like that. And the name of the artist was Rosalind, which again, I told you the lady Rosalind I know from ministry. The ministry that I worked at was Jehovah, or Yahweh Jireh, or Jehovah Jireh, which is God is your provider. And she always had an Esther getaway. And then the last name of Rosalind's last name was the exact same name as my last name. And again, I don't have a normal last name. You almost never hear my last name. So, anyways, with that said, my battery is kind of getting ready to go dead, and this video is at 17 minutes. I think I have one more video I'm going to try to make, and it's not going to be very long. I want to touch on some of the confusion that I feel like I've been seeing, and then I'm going to try to get these videos uploaded. I have no idea how long they're going to take to upload, but hopefully not very long. I apologize that it's like 5 or 6 parts to this. I apologize that I'm all over the place. I apologize that I haven't gotten updates up sooner, but you guys, hopefully you can understand that I've been all over the place. My life is a train wreck. I am starving for deliverance. I mean, longing in ways I cannot even verbally express. Yes, he continues to give me hope and signs and dreams and visions and words. Oftentimes the Lord gives me a dream or a vision or a word, and it will literally happen within an hour or 2 hours or 6 hours or the next day. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that every time somebody has a dream it comes from the Lord. We're supposed to test the spirits. All I'm saying is it's been happening to me a lot. He's constantly giving me confirmations about the calling on my life, and this whole thing with Esther, especially about the fact that there's an Esther building in town. There's the art gallery with the woman's name of Rosalind, which represents Esther, and her last name is the same as my last name, and the letter talking about the royal king, your majesty, has invited you into his palace. And then down here is the Esther Community Center, and the Shalom House, and the pavilion written in Hebrew, and all these non-Messianic Jews who need Jesus Christ, who, when they see my Jesus t-shirt, they always kind of look at me like, uh-oh, she's going to talk to us about Jesus, and they're usually right. But it's not always easy to open up a conversation with somebody when you know more than likely they're not Messianic. But anyways, my battery is about to go kaput. I'm going to go in and charge it and get into, from the outdoors, because I don't want to get eaten up by mosquitoes anyways. Love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully it'll be the last. Bye.